A Jack Daniels swilling, pizza eating, dog hating, whore using, cocaine abusing, hairy back, big belly blowhard from New Jersey. The fat little bastard known as Artie Lang.
Hey, Artie.
Rob. He heard me, by the way. I said Rob. You said, hey, okay, Artie Quarter Podcast. The great Vinny Brand is back. Stretch Factory Vinny Brand. What's up, buddy?
Not much. I'm happy to be here. Nice, beautiful day in Hoboken.
Yeah. As long as everything's normal in my life, hopefully Vin will be here every Wednesday because, I love him and he's funny and he's got a lot to offer, so he's perfect for the show. So Dan Filato, of course, is here, and Rob Barnett's on the phone. We're going to start off with an interview with Rob, a sequel. So many people call me about the interview I did with Rob about vinyl, and they loved it so much. He's just, the stories he told about the business, and he's just a perfect guest if you have those interests. And he was the president of CBS Radio for a while, which is also relevant today because Les Moonves, it's in the news, is going to unload and sell CBS Radio. So before we get to vinyl, I want to ask Rob a little bit about that. You could say as much as you want or not for whatever reason, but I want to get into it a little bit. So Rob Barnett, thanks, buddy, for doing this, and how are you?
I'm good. You act like I would hold back at saying what I think about CBS.
I don't know. You never know. You never know. I'm not going to speak for you.
There's no statute of limitations.
Okay, well, listen, that's great because I was discussing with Vinny and Danny before this, how the world has changed. Imagine that. He wants to sell CBS Radio, which means, look, you don't get rid of something if it's not what it was, when you were there. And radio, CBS Radio, he's willing to sell it. Just first of all, when you hear something like that, what goes through your mind initially?
Well, what took so long? If
you were like a savvy person, as soon as Howard said, "I'm going to Sirius," you would have unloaded it.
Well, because what happened is that in Viacom, in the big boys world,
Viacom, of course. Viacom being, for the people who don't know, Viacom being the name of the company, Mel Karmazin started, along with people like you and Howard on air, that basically was and became Infinity and CBS and Paramount.
Yeah, so I haven't got myself into Game of Thrones yet, but if you can imagine,
Me neither.
the king, right? There's the Godhead, Sumner Redstone, the head guy, right. And then underneath him you have these other two kings. You've got Les Moonves and this guy Tom Freston, who was our dad and godfather and, kind of king of everything MTV.
Started MTV. So, Tom Freston, you think MTV, you think Tom Freston, right?
Well, he was really the guy who kind of protected all of us lunatics and allowed it to become something great 137 years ago. But then the thing got more and more and more and more corporate. And so you had Moonves running about half the company, Freston running the other half of the company, and you can just imagine that when they decided to fight over who had to get stuck with radio, the oldest, uncoolest, not newest part of media, it seems like there was a fight that Freston won, meaning Moonves got stuck with radio. And so, from the minute that this guy walked in, the king of television, every one of us that were there got this feeling like, uh-oh, here's a guy who doesn't know it, doesn't like it, doesn't want it. And that was obvious from the first minute that he walked in.
Right, you're talking about a guy who used to be an actor on episodes of, Charlie's Angels, and then he was a TV guy.
No, you're talking about a guy who used to be Bud Friedman's bartender at the Improv.
Right. Well, that's more respectable than Charlie's Angels, guess what?
Let's put it in total Artie Vinny perspective.
Right.
Just stay there for a second.
Well, listen, bartenders at comedy clubs, Well, I respect them a lot more usually than the MC. Because a bartender at a comedy club in the old days, there's nothing they couldn't get you. Nothing.
But you
want a bombing fluid fund?
You know one thing about the horrors of radio, that the only way that radio can ever be good, and the only way that radio ever was good, is that there were people that fucking loved radio and still do, and it's so challenged, and it's like this car with, 4 busted tires and the transmission's going bad, and, like everything is stacked up against it. So if somebody is going to champion it and do something great with it, you have to start from a place where you're a radio nerd, you're a radio lover, you're a radio geek, you're a radio fanatic, and you know what those people are like because they're a part of your life.
But how
many radio meetings can you imagine where people in expensive suits are sitting behind like that, focus group, fucking like two-way mirror, talking down about the audiences of all the radio stations that they're making all their money off of, talking about the audience like they're fucking losers. Those are most of the people that own radio stations.
Right.
They're people that have like no respect for the talent or the fans. They're just trying to put, 43 minutes of commercials an hour on the radio.
Right. Well, but here's the thing. Here's the pitch. Like, what you're saying is all true, but here's the pitch to a guy like Sumner Redstone, a money guy. Is okay, that's all true about radio, but in a very undignified way, it is a moneymaker. If you're not getting the big deals at the Super Bowl like Moonves wanted with Coca-Cola and Pepsi, but if you can get a network going and a bunch of which Infinity Broadcasting and Mel Karmazin became, with Howard being sort of the tentpole, you can start on a local level making tons of money selling like Ed's Appliance Shop. Bill's car wash, all that shit. You just said, you just got to get guys who love it and who are passionate to do local radio, make it good, and sell it like that. Is that correct? I mean,
yes, and locally, yes, and nationally, billions.
Right.
So everybody always talks about it like a dead industry and like, oh, it sucks, and and the truth is that it's one of the strongest cash businesses in the country. It always has been and it always will.
Right.
But it's been shrinking and shrinking and shrinking ever since. What is it called? New ideas started to come out in media. And one of the worst things you could say about radio is that they're not big fans of new ideas, right? On most rock stations.
Right. Just do it.
Yesterday was 2 for Tuesday,
right,
and the same 2 fucking Led Zeppelin songs got played on every fucking rock.
Get the let out, Rocktober,
Yes, it's time to get the let out again for 80 years in a row.
And until Scott Shannon got innovative and blew the 5 o'clock whistle, which is very... Everybody's working. Okay, what year about... And I'm asking for a definite reason. What year does that happen where Moonves wins and Fresh and Moonves loses and gets the radio? When does Moonves get in charge of radio? What year did that happen?
Let's see. I got sworn in as the president in I think it was the beginning of 2005. So we're talking like 11 years ago. That's when I got sworn in. And I stood up in front of the whole meeting. I said, "Hi, I'm Rob Barnett, the president of CBS Radio." And I looked at my watch and I said, maybe for like 18 months.
Okay, okay, that's interesting because Howard, we as a show announced we're going to Sirius in October of 2004. Okay.
October 2004. Right. I remember it like it was yesterday.
Yeah. Now it's so funny how like you talk about inside options and stuff like that. It was so funny that they thought Ronnie knew something because he drove the limo. So fucking funny. There was,
and no one else knew.
Yeah, that was on the front page of the paper that Ronnie knew. I was at a gig in Philadelphia. I was in the lobby of the Four Seasons Hotel in Philly when someone showed me.
Yeah, I never heard this. How did you find out?
Well, here's what happened. I was about 2 weeks before Howard announced it. I knew something was going to happen. He was not happy. After the Janet Jackson thing, we were getting censored in a way. And growing up listening to him, he always bitched about they're cutting out my show. The guy on the button with the delay. They gave us, we were up to like a long delay, like 20-second delay, and which was crazy. So basically, this new kid, Dave, who was an Indian kid, Hindu, not Dan, stop saying that. Indian American. He was in charge of the button, and he didn't want to be in charge of the button. Dead Air Dave was his name. He didn't want to be in charge of the button. He hated that job. Chiasano would make guys just do it because he didn't want to do it. And he had to edit Howard's show. So I always thought Howard might have been overreacting a little bit until he started editing out jokes that I was proud of. I would say to my buddies, I had that joke about, like, usually they call me and say they liked the joke, and they stopped doing that. And I realized because they never heard it. It never made the air. So as a comic, I'm pissed off, and I'm like, why? And it's because you said fart or something. It was crazy. So Howard kept threatening to leave because I can't do this anymore. And he had a point. We started getting suspended. And then I was, the reason we got suspended a couple of times for saying something I said, it was in the fucking court papers Howard wanted to sue for. Artie said this, Fred made a fart sound, infantile shit. After the Janet Jackson thing, Mel goes to testify in front of Congress. It's getting crazy. So I don't know, but radio, satellite radio was so nothing. And XM was the only thing you heard of. Sirius was like its little brother. And everybody was wondering what's going to happen. I started thinking I was going to get a job. What if he really retires? It was like a Wednesday afternoon. I'm in my apartment in Hoboken with my girlfriend Dana at the time. And she's making me lasagna soup, which was a favorite of hers. Not a great cook. But she would make lasagna. It came out like soup. But so Howard calls me from the back of the limo. And I hear he's in New York City traffic. And that was rare. He called me at that time. If I got a call, maybe go to dinner or something, like, Beth and Dana got along. So sometimes we get a late call for a double date. And it was like the president calling. Dana knew, well, I got to get something to wear. And, of course, that meant I was going to be out $400. Dana had me down so right. We'd go to like a shoe store in Soho, New York, or like an Italian shoe store, or L.A. or something, on Robertson. And she knew I hated shopping so much. I know one thing. I'm very heterosexual. I hate shopping in a way. Whatever. So I'm waiting for her to try on shoes. Her and this Italian guy who's hitting on her until I found out he was gay, are talking about, it's down to 2 pairs of shoes for dinner one time. We're going to go to Vegas, and we knew we had to go to dinner with Howard and a couple of sales events. So she knew if she took long enough trying to decide, I would just say, fuck it, buy both shoes. Especially if I was hungry. If she knew I was hungry and we had to go to dinner, she would go to get 3 pairs sometimes. I go, what's in between? And the Italian guy would point and go, those 3 pairs. Just buy all 3. Just buy all 3. Let's get the fuck out of here. Let's get the fuck out of here. She probably stole them already. Anyway. So Howard calls me from the back of the limo. And he seems a little, I don't know, he's driving around traffic and he seems like he's like, stressed. And he goes, what is your deal at the show? I was surprised he didn't know. He goes, I go, what do you mean? He goes, you can get out any time you want, right? Like, I go, Howard, yeah. I go, literally, I could quit tomorrow if I wanted to. I always had that in the deal, in case something happened. But I would never do that, but that was my deal. He goes, literally tomorrow, if we leave, you can get out. I go, yeah. He goes, right. I just wanted to know that. Thanks, man. Bye. Hangs up. Wow. He hangs up, and I tell Dana, and she goes, well, you think he's gonna quit tomorrow? I'm like, I don't know, but something's happening. If I was sat and Dana, smart girl. She talked like Dice, but she was a smart girl. She said, I bet he's going to go to satellite. I bet he's going to do that satellite thing, like that. What does that call? XM or something? And I went, no. He goofs on it. We goof on it. She goes, I guess you're right. Oh, God. I should have told Dana, here's money, go buy $800,000. Yes. Now, let me ask you this. As a finance guy, Rob, if I did do that, based on that info alone, the SEC, would they have investigated me? Probably, right? Well, we'll get into that another day. But anyway, so that was an inkling I had, and then I'm telling you, the morning he announced, I Dana first of all gloated. She was on her way to work. I have 4 voicemails. So it was. I knew for sure the day everyone else knew when he announced it on the radio, but I got the inkling 2 weeks before. And the thought that Ronnie, if Howard didn't say a sentence that had the word tits in it, Ronnie wasn't listening.
you know what's so amazing though? It's so amazing. It makes me realize two quick things. One is, as like a lifelong fan, it just blows fans' minds. It's got to listen to a story like that and realize that only he really knows.
Right.
And then the second thing it makes me think of is how there's no mystery left in anything anymore, right? Yeah. Everything is known,
right?
You know?
Yeah, you had that great story about the Rolling Stones. Remember, you said they were in the backyard. You kept it a secret, and you said, "Yeah, that can be done today."
Yeah. But the thing, I mean, I was on Howard. It was a very memorable date, right? April 20th, 2010. Yeah. He could talk. His gag order was done, and I could talk. So he had me on the show for about an hour, and I told some of the story, but the part that was probably the most amazing to you guys is that just as you didn't know till that moment, imagine in CBS, in the big corporate tower, no one knew.
So yeah,
so
I know.
It was like a nuclear weapon, you know. It was a total shock.
He had the Enola Gray. He had the Enola Gray, and he was flying over CBS radio. But the bigger thing though is divorce. When I got this, I asked Stutter and John and Gary. I said, "When did you know?" And he go, "When you found out." I heard it on the radio going to work that day that Howard got a divorce.
Right.
And I said, "That's even more impressive because he was dating. He was dating. You got to, come on." You fool Ralph full of truth serum or a couple of scotches, and he might know something. But Gary, I don't know. But that's more impressive, and that he runs a tight ship over there, man. And I saw it firsthand. I mean, but for Ronnie to know, he literally would have had to say, "This stock has a great pair of tits." Okay, so what? So now, again, in other words. It's amazing, though. I was talking before on the air, too, of the ego. How could you not have an ego knowing you were the guy, one guy left, and it all fell apart, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, because again, it goes back to Moonves, right? It's like the idea about replacing a television star overnight on a television show where there is such a thing as overnight ratings, and shows live and die based on, just the premiere episode. I think I told this story to Howard, but the first meeting that Moonves ever had, he walks in, there's like 10 of us in the room, but I'm the programming guy. So he looks at me. This is his first entrance, as I am the new head of radio. Yeah. And he walks in and he looks at me and goes, "How did we do last night?" and at that point, there is no such thing as last night. That's when you'll remember we had to wait, 3 or 4 months to find out what the ratings were.
Oh, God. Yeah, no, I mean, listen, yeah, right. He's a TV guy. The other story that's very interesting about that time that some of the new podcast fans might not know, I don't know if Danny and Vinny even know this, or if you know, but as a listener, you might. I also get a call after Howard announces, and from Tim. What the fuck's Tim's last name? Tim Sabian. I love Tim. Tim's a good friend, but I get a call from Tim Sabian, and he's admitted this on the air and since it was just a crazy time. He said, "Art, listen, I know it's awkward. You just say no, yes, whatever. I have an offer for you." Before they hired David Lee Roth, they want to know, they'll give you New York, the mornings in New York, you'll take over for Howard. We'll give you Cleveland, Boston, and something like Detroit and Philly. That's going to be the 5 cities we'll start at. And it's 5-year deal, and we're going to go to Gary and see maybe he will want to be a guy who's sort of like a sidekick producer / for you. You'd host it. And the offer is $5 million. And I said to Sabian, I'm not going to take it because I have a lot of respect for Howard. I said, but I love you, Tim. Should I just keep it quiet? It doesn't make any difference in his life. He goes, I'd appreciate it. I mean, it doesn't. I don't want to make this phone call, but I have to. So I immediately turned it down. A day later, after talking to a couple of people in my life who are more savvy than me finance-wise, I called Tim up after I officially turned it down. And I didn't tell Howard till we got on Sirius, and Howard felt a little betrayed, but still was appreciative. I said, "Howard, your life didn't change either way." And I was trying to make sure Tim's life didn't blow up. He goes, I get it. Ultimately, he appreciated it. But I said to Tim, I said, Tim, I'm not going to take it, obviously. He goes, well, you can. You know, they're not going to offer it to you now. You had a one chance thing. I said, I get it, but I'm just curious. Was it $5 million a year or $5 million for the a million?
Believe me, I was there. I talked about this on Howard. They asked me about it.
Oh, okay.
No, they asked me about it. So you have it exactly correct.
Oh, okay.
You do.
Well, yeah. He made it sound like it was $5 million a year.
It was.
So Tim said to me when I asked that, Tim was so funny.
This has been totally unfair. This has been totally unfair to Vinny.
Right.
Dan, but based on the way this whole conversation's gone so far, between the four of us, we now have to have a moment of silence for Artie. Ready?
Well, Tim was so funny. Tim was so funny when I asked that question. I said there was a pause, and Tim said, "Art, you don't want me to answer that question."
You didn't ask at the time?
No, I thought it was just $1 million. I have such a low self-esteem.
Listen, I'm such a whore. I would have taken $5 million for 5 years.
Listen, I was being loyal to Howard because I said, listen, Howard is a friend, man. He'll make sure I get stocks and get paid. And at the time, I was getting offered, it was $800,000 a year for Howard and the stand-up and everything. I said, well, Howard's, really take care of me finance-wise. I'm like his brother, and of course, that wasn't true at all. And nor do I blame Howard. Howard's a businessman. He loves me, and Howard's the reason I got that offer. I'm not dissing Howard, but that wasn't true at all. I said, Mom was my mother was one of the people they asked. I said, Mom, you're not allowed. I'll tell you the truth right now. If you promise never to bitch and moan about this at any Christmas, everything. I go, yeah, I turned down $25 million. Because I'm Howard's, for Howard's my friend, I'm his friend. First of all, I think I would have bombed, though. I would have bombed. Yeah. What, Rob? Yeah, what's that again?
But I got you some lasagna soup.
Well, I would have been. First of all, and look, I would have bombed. I like to think I'm better. I'm better on the radio than David Lee Roth, but nobody's doing that. Nobody's. You know
that every. I think I said something back at the time like Jesus would have bombed.
Right. I mean, I'm not. I went with the gang, and I love those guys. I would have betrayed a friend. And Howard is a friend, by the way. He's a businessman. He's not going to give me. He's making the money. He grew up with no money. I grew up with no money. We're all doing well. But yeah, I turned down $25 million. So, Rob, poor Tim. Tim had to make that call. Well, Rob, I'm glad. Do you think I was wrong in not telling Howard? I wanted to protect Tim, and he wasn't being Howard's enemy. He was just everyone was scrambling. So I said,
"Oh God, the first thing I said to him when I got on the show that day is I said the maximum respect that I paid to Howard during that whole thing was to never once get in his way. I had to fight. Right. I had to fight Joel Hollander, who was my boss,
yes,
and Moonves, who were constantly riding his ass the entire 18 months.
They were,
busting his balls, and I felt like there were only two choices, right?
Right.
Choice one, cut him on October 6, 2004, whatever that was, and deal with the consequences, or choice two, which is the way I would have done it, let him stay on and don't bust his balls, realize he's your partner for the next 18 months.
Yes.
You've decided that just like you hate Trump, but you'll take the money, you could hate Howard. This is Moonves now, right?
Right.
You could hate Howard, but take the money. But if you're going to take the money, you better respect the show and the fans, because God forbid you anger him when he leaves, and then Artie Lang or David Lee Roth or Satan or Jesus or the Pope or whoever's going to come on after him has the world stacked up against them. You better not put Howard and the fans against them too, because then you'll never make another dime again.
That's such a savvy thing to say, man. You need somebody on the team. Think of that. And you're a fan of Howard too, by the way. You get it. Les wasn't.
Since I was the baby radio boy.
Right. And Les Moonves was not a fan. You got that. You needed somebody as smart as you who was a fan. That's your.
Well, it's funny. I always wondered about it, because you remember he'd have him on a lot, and you always think that with a guy you always think that in some respect, a guy who's an ultimate bully would respect a guy with ultimate balls who's not afraid of bullies.
Sure.
But it just seems like Howard was so pure and untouchable throughout his whole career in terms of never, everyone sort of fake gave shit to the man. Howard's maybe the only person who never fake gave shit to the man. Howard was never afraid.
Yeah.
So that you'd think that Moonves would have respected that, and instead it led to things like lawsuits, which really blew my mind. I wouldn't have expected that.
So dumb. I mean, Howard had him on, of course, because he was a celebrity. Moonves, got the fame that he wanted as an actor, as the guy running things, and had a lot of hits and blah blah blah. I mean, that became that TV department made billions, but still not a guy who got it. Not somebody like you who just gets it. And that's hard. It's hard for me. In other words, like, my dream executive is somebody like you. Like, Les Moonves, I don't know what to do in a meeting like that. Like, he's not going to laugh at my bullshit and because he doesn't get it. Or he doesn't, want to.
It comes down to, like, I think it's like this ultimate battle of wills, right?
Right.
Am I the head of the company gonna fucking tell you to sit down, shut up, and do what I want you to do?
Right.
Or what about this other version where I say, I hired you because I think you're it, so go do it, and here's your check.
Yeah, no, like exactly. I mean, and look, the latter is the way you deal with comedians. The first way you talked about, you can't deal with a comic. Like, I go back to Norm Macdonald and Don Ohlmeyer when Norm got fired from Saturday Night Live for the OJ jokes. This is Norm was, in a sarcastic way said this to Don Ohlmeyer, who didn't get it. Don Ohlmeyer just didn't get it, and he's Don Ohlmeyer has everything on Norm, from the fact that he's a guy, he's an efficient guy, puts a suit on every day, he's an executive, he's got billions of dollars, always have more money than Norm, blah blah blah. But he's in the room with a guy who's just way funnier and way smarter, and sometimes what comics like to think is the funniest guy in the room is the most powerful, and for a little while. So with Norm and Don Ohlmeyer, the story goes, Ohlmeyer says, Norm, I got bad news. And he goes, why? Well, what's the bad news? He goes, you're fired. And Norm goes, oh, that's terrible. Why? And Don Ohlmeyer goes, because you're not funny. And Norm goes, oh, that's even worse news.
Oh, that's great.
So, and that, of course, leads to Norm doing the best monologue in the history of Saturday Night Live, because 2 years later, we're doing the sitcom. Norm gets a call in L.A. We're in the writer's room and says they want me to host SNL. And I go, you going to do it? He goes, for Lauren, I'll do it. But, he had that rebellious look in his face. The monologue was the following. And what an angle. He goes, listen, I know you guys are probably confused. Why am I hosting the show? I was fired years ago, because that was made public that Ohlmeyer didn't think Norm was funny.
Yeah.
I was fired years ago because people didn't think I was funny. But now I'm hosting the show. So what's the deal? And here's the deal. I'm still not funny. The show has gotten horrible. Ohlmeyer was right. I'm still horribly unfunny, but the show is really not funny. He goes, I mean, it's really bad. I've been rehearsing all weekend. He goes, well, you'll see. Your writer's booing. The writer's booed. Executives booing. Lauren just like with a Chardonnay, fucking rolling his eyes, with some cute 23-year-old blonde assistant going, "What should I do, Mr. Mike?"
I don't know who they sold the digital rights to this week, but I'm going to go look for that tonight.
Oh God, it's so good. But
seems like they sell SNL every 12 months.
But here's what Sam Simon and I talked Norm out of doing. The night before, we're in Norm's hotel room. And of course, like anybody, the night before they host Saturday Night Live, we're hunkered down with the script watching a basketball game. We have $15,000. I think Christina Applegate had the same night before. So we had a bunch of money on a game. And Norm goes, hey, man, I think I'm going to do this tomorrow, but I don't know if I should. I go, what? He goes, I'm going to do the monologue, because I knew what the monologue was going to be. And Sam helped him write it. It was just amazing. I go, Norm, it's amazing. He goes, he was in every sketch. Now they still do. The host is in every sketch. They rehearsed it like crazy. Costumes are bought. Sets are built. Norm wanted to do that monologue I just said, and then calmly walk towards the dressing room, then bolt where his assistant would have the elevator waiting, bolt to the elevator, go down, take a cab, and never go back to the show. No. And not do the show. I go, Norm, comedians will build a statue of you.
Yes.
That would be up there with like Jack Ruby assassin.
Jack Ruby. Exactly. It would be like Norm going up to him and shooting Lorne Michaels in the stomach.
Yes.
But Don Omar with that white cop behind him with that weird look on his face. But I said they'll build a statue. But Norm had a kid getting to be college age, and Norm's first wife put him through it. Norm's first wife said, "I want a house in Beverly Hills," and our son's going to grow up in Beverly Hills. And Norm liked that. I mean, she's a great mom. His wife actually goes, "I'll take care of him." And the kid was brought up right, and Norm's son loves him. Norm's a great dad, but the kid grew up. The kid was friends with princes of sheiks in Qatar. like he's trying. Like he would go, "Hey, listen, my buddy's turning 16 or my buddy's turning 17. We're gonna go to Aspen for the weekend. I need money, And Norm would go, 17 is not like a big birthday, Aspen. Maybe for the 21st, but no, for the 21st birthday, you don't want to hear that. So Norm's keeping up with the Joneses, and the kid. So I'm thinking about. I go, Norm, statues will be built, but you're not working. I mean, come on. And he decided not to do it, so he was in every sketch.
That's amazing.
It was also the same weekend Howard announced that he got a divorce. Was the weekend host, Norm hosted SNL, so they get the news the night before about Howard's divorce. They crowbarred in a sketch where Fallon, at the end of the show, plays Stern and approaches Norm, and they do something that didn't work, but they acknowledged it. So... I can remember after Norm did the show, we were back in L.A. on the set rehearsing and at the Warner Brothers lot talking about Howard, going like, wow, who knew? What do you think of that? Come on, he had something, blah, blah, blah. We're thinking, oh, God, he's been divorced for 6 months. We didn't know about it. How many fucking stripper lips have been on that cock? No. So anyway, that's there's a story for you where, like, you're talking about executives, and it's just, Omar always wins because he'll be richer or whatever. But, a funnier guy got him. You know what I mean? That for one time, and for a little while, it's cool. Mm-hmm. That's not the guy. You're not funny. That's even worse, dude.
That's a great line.
Great line, and how quick is it? Like that's so fucking. I mean, Norm is so quick. Vin, do you have anything about this? Do you want to ask or any curious?
Well, about radio or
about anything in general about Rob to this?
I got to tell you, first of all, Norm's story. Norm was at the club, and he's a very funny guy. I mean, Norm is honestly, again. I don't talk to him as much, but I spent 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, because I opened for Norm on the road. We did 2 years of a sitcom together and a buddy comedy together in Toronto. We were on hotels all over the place. We'd shared addictions like gambling. And so he's one of my best friends. So that being said, full disclosure, Norm might be the funniest person I've ever met. And smartest. And he did the club, and we go to pay him. It's Saturday night. It's like 2 a.m, and the phone at the club is ringing off the hook. And we don't answer at 2 o'clock in the morning because that's a maniac calling. And it's his agent.
You were right.
Yeah, exactly. And he goes, Vinny, did you pay Norm? I go, no, we're about to pay him next. No, don't pay him. I go, what do you mean? He goes, don't give him the check. Mail the check to the agency. I go, why?
Fuck you. It's not your money.
Well, no, you know what they said to him? They go, because Norm's going to lose the money.
Yeah.
He'll go to Atlantic City and lose it, or he'll lose the check. So I go to Norm. I go, I feel weird. They don't want me to pay it. He goes, yeah, that's probably a good idea. And we didn't pay him. But now to radio, this is what I want to know about radio, because not only did Stern leave and terrestrial radio falls apart, or at least CBS falls apart, but he builds Sirius.
Well, no, terrestrial radio did fall apart, absolutely.
Well, terrestrial radio, it really did. But he also...
In a way, it became way different. It changed.
It changed. And I wonder if you're talking about a local market. To me, that's a much better way to build radio.
Right.
Because Stern not only tore apart CBS, he built up a new national...
local. That's a great point. And a lot of people don't realize this. It's like when Howard became an A-list star, one of the few people that became an A-list star, people didn't realize we were on locally all over the country. So I would watch Howard cut spots sometimes. Like, how Gary would call once a month, would say, Howard, you got to cut spots for St. Louis, whatever. And so what people don't realize, for a certain amount of money, if you're Ed's Deli on 3rd Avenue, Howard Stern will read it for a price. You know?
Well, and the price became too much. We couldn't advertise. Like, my club couldn't advertise on Stern. We had to get guys on it.
Well, to have him read it. And the brilliant thing was, and I want to ask Rob about this, what about the fact that Howard invented sort of the 15-minute live spot where he would start goofing on stuff for Snap or whatever, and not only did you get the 2 minutes or the minute you paid for, because Howard's goofing on stuff, and Gary's got a story, I had a story, like he would tell me, he goes, all right, try this product, we'll talk about it. And as long as it didn't make the product look like shit, we talk about it for 20 minutes, for the same price. I mean, Rob, right? That's a selling point, obviously, right?
Well, it's so, I mean, like in so many ways, he left a blueprint for people to be able to figure out how to turn talking into a mic into a huge business.
Right.
But then it sadly came down to maybe, 700 things, but the first two on the list would be unique talent and unique balls, meaning, that instead of trying to figure out how to do advertising in a different way that was completely like jumping off a cliff and flying and having the belief that the talent was worth it, then instead, where is it now? Why is radio shrinking? Why is radio being sold? I think it's for one main reason. Because if you turn on any radio station in any city right now and hear, 17, 18, 19, 20, 30 minutes of commercials an hour. Like canned commercials.
Yeah.
It's so out of touch with the way people consume every other media now that there's almost no way that it can sustain, without trying to think of other ways to advertise like Howard did 400 years ago.
No, exactly. Yeah, and I mean, Howard, it's so funny how stuff happens in holes. And, Howard goes to terrestrial radio, and a few years later, the smartphone becomes the norm. And now the world has changed in ways you can't imagine. Like, there's no bigger generation gap between, I'm in my late 40s, Vinny's around the same age, and Danny. And, of course, you're around the same age, too. We're all, technically, if you go by decades, the same generation. The generation gap between us and someone who's 25 years old is bigger. People talked about the Woodstock generation and the Sinatra World War II, or whatever. Baby boomers and their parents. That was a big generation gap. But because of, hip hop music and whatever, the difference in music and the way and technology and the way that music and technology have molded together and everything that the smartphone represents. I mean, Steve Jobs basically gave us a third appendage. Steve Jobs and Apple, the smartphone basically said, here's a third arm. Like, that's not that off of an analogy. And then, of course, Jobs dies. Here's a third arm. Bye. Fuck, with Jesus. You're never more than inches from your phone. And they're different people. I see it at comedy clubs. These kids in their early 20s. They don't know, and then, of course, political correctness. Those three things. There's your tripod. Political correctness, technology, and music, like hip-hop, the difference. It's like talking to someone from outer space, to me, sometimes, someone in their early 20s. I mean, would you agree with that, Rob?
Well, I think we talked about it the last time we were on together, which is that you figured out, wait a minute, am I going to do underwear commercials and try and make, shekels for every podcast? Or am I going to just figure out if my fan base is going to be there for $6 or $7 a month?
Right.
And but I come back to like wanting to watch, a show on HBO, a television show, or anything that you would consume on the internet. If you have 5 million opportunities to skip past the commercials, you will.
Right.
But
exactly.
Then there's radio, and radio is not accepting that reality.
Yes.
And they're fighting against it like the music industry fought against, digital delivery of music.
Yeah. And you had the heavy hitters, too.
Pete, killing radio.
Right.
That's
Pete Townsend in a scarf speaking. You had the heavy hitters came out against digital, man, and it didn't work.
And I gotta say, radio. The one thing radio had that now it doesn't even have this. It had traffic. It had news.
Yeah.
I have
right.
I
put it on. What's the temperature while I'm in traffic?
Right.
Exactly.
And now your car does that. I have Waze. I have much better traffic than they can give me. So there really is no reason to listen now.
How about the 24/7 news cycle?
Yeah.
Because I'm addicted to this as a comic, especially this political stuff, which is just the most amazing time ever. I watch as much as the cable news as I can. So by the time I get and I love the newspaper. I love it. My beloved, I get the news, the Post, and the New York Times delivered every day to this house, and I have for 15 years because, I wanted to be up on the news with Howard. And when I got to Howard had the Post and the news waiting by my microphone. Benji got one, Freddie. We all had the papers. And because Howard was going to, you didn't read the Times first because there was a good chance our fans were going to call up and ask about the latest exhibit at the Met.
What about that trade deal in China?
Right. The North African art, Howard Vinny from Queens, the North African art exhibit at the Met. I was reading about that in Arts and Leisure. No, you're going to read, I read page 6 first because Howard's going to bring that up, and you read the fucking Post. You read the New York Post where it says, where there's not a complicated headline where they try to, show off their vocabulary. It just says, man shot. But now, because I watch so much of that news, blah, 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 and if I do want to watch, like somebody sent me a video of me doing stand-up years ago, and doing a sketch at Caroline's in 1993 that I had never seen before, and I forgot I even did it. And a guy found it on some clip thing. Before I got a chance to watch it, there's a minute commercial for something and some news flash. So by the time I get the Post the next day and the Daily News and the Times, the Post and the news, I know the story already. I know the answer to the story on the front page. And I'm starting to get not that into the paper. But that sucks. That sucks. I hate it. I don't want the newspaper to go away.
Well, most newspapers.
But you got to, there's so many new weapons.
Right.
Like why, how is it that Imus and Howard sitting there talking into microphones looking like radio guys was the only visualized version of radio that anyone's ever thought of?
Yeah, those two guys.
Why,
not exactly Redford and Newman.
Why did the entire concept of YouTube, which is now 11 years old, never get figured out by radio stations? Like, you and I can make a video right now tonight, and with your fan base, it'll get a shit ton of views, right?
Right.
But the morning team at WXXX and whatever uploads a video to YouTube tonight, it gets like 400 views, 200 views.
Uh-huh.
They're just because the future is so foreign to the way so many people think.
Sure.
That they kind of let it slip them by. It just slipped them right by.
And with YouTube, I do this in my stand-up special, Jack and Coke. I talk about this. When YouTube first came out, a guy who lives a life like me, of course it's exaggerating, but, YouTube was my enemy for a while. For the first 6 months YouTube was out, once a week I get a call from my agent going, Art, listen, YouTube has a video supposedly of you in Milwaukee at 4 a.m. calling a 14-year-old drug dealer the N-word. It's in a Denny's parking lot. Could that be you? Go on.
How many hits did it get?
I'm like, yeah, what, Denny's a place to eat or something? Listen, he wanted $10 for a 7.5 milligram Vicodin. Gandhi would have called me N-word. You little N-word. And again, I would say the only you take pride in, and again, I'm a humble guy, but the thing I take pride in, the reason I say, Mom, we're going to be okay, is because computers, people lost jobs. But like I was saying, Howard liked me on the air because I wasn't a guy who prepared. I didn't have to take anything home. Howard didn't want me to prepare. He didn't want me to know what he was going to talk about. So we'd go on, and Howard actually said this. He goes, listen, here's your job. At 6 a.m., I'm going to start talking about something. It could be anything. Me at a barbecue or something in the news. Your job is to be funny about it, off the cuff. As long as you keep doing that, you'll get paid a lot of money and stay here. And I love you. You will always be friends, but if you stop being able to do that, you're going to have to be fired. And because of heroin, 8 years later, I stopped doing it. I stopped coming in. And I take pride in it. I said, yeah, I think I can do that. That's the one thing I can do. I'm not a fashion guy. I can't tell you if your belt matches your shoes. I have no idea. A computer's not going to replace me. Because my mother always told that to my sister, and she would watch stuff on the news, and she would do that. She overreacts. Like in 1986, my mother thought you could get AIDS from buying an Elton John record. I would say, Mom, I'm going to New York. I take the bus to New York. She would go, what about AIDS? I'm I'm not going to blow Rock Hudson in a urinal. I'm going to fucking, try to get in comedy. I said, I after a while, I said, Ma, I could do something a computer's not going to do. You can't make up a dick joke with Howard's barbecue story. It's not going to happen.
But isn't it tragic at some level that the idea of improv without reading a liner card and playing two Doobie Brothers songs is perceived as radical?
I know.
And
Doobie Brothers. That's great.
I hate bringing it up. Hate bringing it up, but I'm going to go there.
Sure.
It's the unscripted aspect of Trump, who ironically now is so scripted that every single speech is become all the same talking points. But at least when you first started to hear him talk, it sounded like, oh, he doesn't sound like all the other people.
He talks like a human being. Yeah, you're so right, Rob. He has human emotions. He talks like a person. And Hillary Clinton some joke writer, some asshole is making up rhymes now. Now she's becoming Jay-Z. Hillary Clinton goes, we don't need insults. We need results. And these morons clap. They've been hearing that since fucking Woodrow Wilson. I mean, and Trump talks like a guy. He's like, I don't know. Hillary's got a big ass. He talks like a dude.
Did you guys see this video? It's a couple of months old now, but these two young guys dress up as like classic Trump supporters, and they're videoing themselves as they get ready to go to a rally and prank Trump.
Yeah.
And you've seen this, right? And they're like 4 or 5 guys away from him, and he's like, who's going to build the wall? And they go, Mexico.
I know. It's well, yeah.
It's so good. And they're giving him all his shit. But then you look really closely at Trump's eyes when he realizes that he's being punked by these guys.
Yeah. Well, listen, I was telling Danny this. Here's my analogy. I'm trying to make this into some sort of stand-up bit. But this Trump is a result of a generation, because there's young kids at these rallies, teenagers. He's a result of a generation that doesn't have a great rock band. Think about it. There's no great rock band anymore. So Trump has become their rock star. Like they go to a Trump rally. In the 80s, no one went to a Reagan rally because you're going to see Van Halen. You don't have there's no rock band anymore. Trump's the rock band. When he says the wall, he says, I'm going to build the wall. They go nuts.
It's
right.
Freebird.
And when our generation, Pink Floyd said, I'm going to build the wall. And we went nuts. He has become a rock star. And you're right. When he says, America's safe again, the whole place goes crazy. The whole place goes crazy. Listen, can you take a break? When we come back, we'll talk about vinyl. I want to tease it. Can you give me 5 minutes?
Go.
All right. When we come back, Rob on vinyl. Thanks, buddy.
That's funny.
That was him call, right?
Huh?
Yeah, it was his phone with the call, right?
Yeah.
I was giving him a chance to answer it, right?
Hey, I have to go because I have a show to do.
Guys, we're back. Vinny had to leave. No fault of Vinny's got to go run a huge comedy club he has. I have time, of course, and I'm glad I do. On top of the perfect 45-minute interview Rob just gave about radio, a lot of great stories again. We want to end up here with vinyl. So we're going into episode 5, and Rob promised he'd come back on and talk more at this point in the show's season, and he's keeping his promise. And I got to tell you, Rob, I don't know what you feel. There's a lot of hokey stuff, like you were very observant in pointing out sort of the hacky mob theme with the first part of it. With the first episode of that was sort of Scorsese-like, and so much of it was great. I kind of gave it a pass, but we both thought ultimately thumbs down. But we're going to watch again. I am way into it. I can't stop. I can't stop watching it. I think it's very well done. I think Cannavale is really doing an amazing job. I think Ray Romano is great. I love it. I give it a thumbs up and can't stop watching it. And I'll get into more details, obviously, about some negatives and all the positives, but I was wondering what you think.
Well, it's so funny because when you guys asked me to come back and do round 2 and talk about it, I immediately thought, okay, 2 choices. I can either phone it in because I love talking to Artie, or, oh, no, now I have to watch more of it. Like, because I have sort of secretly given up.
Oh, no kidding.
Like
okay.
I watched the first, the one we talked about, which was like the double header, the 2 hours.
Yeah.
Then I watched what I guess it's called. Was that called 1? I guess that was called 1.
Right.
And then I watched 2. Then I watched 3, and I was having all the same conflicted feelings. But then Dan said, "Oh, Artie might want to talk. Are you free at such and such a time?" And I hung up the phone and said, "Oh shit, now I'm gonna watch it." So I watched the 4th one, which I had to look up the title and make sure I got it right for people that haven't seen it or whatever. It's called The Racket.
Right.
And that's the one where I said, "Oh shit, Artie's right. Now I like it." But it wasn't until there, because I felt like there was a lot going on differently. So then I got really interested, and I pulled up a little list to see if what I was guessing was true. And sure enough, the pilot, Martin Scorsese, episode 2, a different guy, episode 3, a different guy,
right.
episode 4. So there's all different directors,
Yep.
And this is the one where I watched it earlier today. I watched 4 and 5, and I thought that there was a lot more that I liked in 4 that I hadn't liked.
Well, what don't you like about it? What didn't you like specifically? Why you were giving up?
Well, I mean, everything that was annoying to not just you and me. I mean, it was so cool about talking to you about it, and then obviously, we don't exist if we don't post it. So we posted it, and so many people were responding, and it seemed like, if this is one of those fucking exit polls, it seemed like almost everybody I knew was negative. Almost everybody,
right. But that's Twitter. You got to give the Twitter. I think people on Twitter somehow think negative is more interesting, or they're trying to be funny. That's what I notice on Twitter.
That's fair too.
Yeah, negative is always equated with funny.
Really,
yeah,
but from a lot of people that were radio and music pros, are people that are still working, God bless them, in radio and the record business. There was just all these very specific complaints, and if you had to boil it all down, it would be, hey, wait a minute, this is all too heavy-handed. It's way too dramatic. It's way too over the top. I don't buy this. I don't buy that. The Led Zeppelin lookalike guy is moronic.
That was moronic. But that's the first one that we both disagree. Well, both agree we didn't like that Led Zeppelin guy. It was almost like they tried to make him a corny goofball version of Robert Plant. But that's in the first one that we both didn't like. But
right. So if it, like the worst thing you could ever say about something dramatic is corny, right? So I got to the 4th one today, and I felt like, oh, now there's some real style in it. Now there's, I mean, not to get too geeky, but there's real segues. They create these musical moments. Like they had these 2 performances. One was when the Hannibal character, his band plays this song called "Let's Make a Baby."
Right.
And at first I look at it and I go, "Oh, I get it. It's like a Sly Stone, Rick James." They're kind of like getting into that. But then I start listening to it, and I realize that on a deep sort of Christopher Guest vibe, now they're almost mocking it. If you really listen to what the words are. And then they go right into the Robert Goulet thing, which is this world's worst Christmas song.
Right.
And you're listening to that and realizing oh, they're playing now on this fine line between, is this supposed to be great, or are we actually messing with it?
Well, that's what,
it was interesting.
That's what artists do. Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of, sometimes directors go for something that, nowadays we watch. I think directors are changing the way they make a movie now, knowing how many times a person will watch it. So they put stuff in that's way subtle here and there, that might not even have anything to do with the plot, and because they realize how often people, even from my generation, even though we didn't have Apple TV and you could rewind it every 2 seconds and watch it a billion times, when you had to rewind a VHS tape that was grainy, how often we noticed subtle lines in Caddyshack and Stripes and Animal House, every line. Now I think directors expect people to do that, so they throw shit in there knowing you'll almost knowing for a fact you'll miss it the first time, and you go back,
cool.
you go back and watch it. I'll give you an example of what you're talking about. You watched it enough to where you said the Sly Family Stone song, almost they're goofing on it. And I agree with you. And the Rick James thing is interesting. I thought only Sly and the Family Stone is there, but there's Rick James aspects to that guy, of course, 10-time fold. But, okay, there's a movie, Revolutionary Road. You ever see that movie with Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet?
I don't think I did.
Okay. It came out about 2007. And it's Revolutionary Road. It's I think Sam Mendes directed it, and it is a scathing look. And it's some of the best work Leonardo DiCaprio has ever done, by far. And it's a scathing look at a couple in the late 50s, early 60s, suburban Connecticut, who meet in Greenwich Village. And Kate Winslet plays a young, idealistic girl who wants to become an actress, has all these visions. The world is going to become great, and life's going to be exciting, and I'm going to be in show business and travel. And Leonardo DiCaprio is a little more simple. He's a longshoreman when they meet, but he gets convinced, blah, blah. She finds out that the night they meet that he had been to Paris in the army, and she's unbelievably into that. She wants to become an actress and have this life. Cut to a few years later, they have a couple of kids, a very average suburban house in Connecticut. He's a salesman for the same company his father worked for in the daily grind. She never became an actress. And matter of fact, it opens up with her as a local actress in a community theater play that sucks. And she knows it sucks. He knows it sucks. And it's ruining their life because she is so depressed that she never got into show business, never lived that glamorous, interesting life. And all of a sudden, she decides she wants to go to Paris and live their life, raise the kids in Paris, have a different life. She convinces him. He drinks the Kool-Aid for a little while. And then she realizes she can't go to Paris. And it's so sad and scary. And what's the name of the actor who the great actor who plays the lunatic son?
Michael Shannon.
Okay, Michael Shannon. He's not a big star yet, but he's the guy who, he's been in a million things. I played Zod in the latest Superman, and, he got nominated for an award for a couple of great actor. He plays a kid, a guy who is the son of Kate, what's her name? Dan, again, Kate
Winslet.
No. Kathy Bates. Kathy Bates. Oh. Kathy Bates plays a great supporting role. Her son is this guy, Michael Shannon. He's in a mental institution, and as the young, sort of hip, beautiful couple, she wants him to meet her son. They agree. The son has gone crazy because he's smarter than everybody and depressed, and he basically sees this couple and nails them in a second, what nobody else in that little town can. Your lives are failed dreams, and you're sad and you're mad, and your kids are going to be ruined because you're leading a life. They ruined your life. You don't go to Paris. You don't become and it's so sad, and it's such a vicious drama. You can't believe it. I've watched it a bunch of times now. Okay, Rob? And I'm convinced it's a comedy. Okay, Dan. Okay, Dan hasn't watched it enough. I watched it. Dan will tell you. I watched it over and over again for a while. I got obsessed with stuff, documentaries like vinyl, and I go through phases. I've watched it long enough, and I'm convinced that first of all, Leonardo DiCaprio might not even know, or Kate Winslet. I'm convinced the director made it a comedy, and I'm watching it more and I'm going, this is hilarious. This is so funny. And I'm convinced the Michael Shannon character is supposed to be funny. And it reminded me of a quote Alfred Hitchcock had. He said to an interviewer once, Peter Bogdanovich related this in an interview, but he said Peter Bogdanovich said that Hitchcock told an interviewer once that he wanted to redo all of his classic movies, like The Rear Window, and make them a parody of themselves, a comedy. And the interviewer said, would James Stewart allow that? Would he be okay with that? And Hitchcock, dead serious, said, oh, James Stewart is far too stupid to know if something's a comedy or not. Okay. So I am telling you right now, Dan, you know the movie. And if you watch it for the first time, you're not going to believe I think this is a comedy. It cannot be more dramatic and depressing. Kate Winslet might have figured it out. And Kathy Bates.
Because you're talking about the same director,
right,
that did American Beauty, which won every award. And you think about that movie for a minute and how evil and dark it was. It didn't seem like an Academy Award winner. It was so vicious, It's really interesting. It's really, cutting.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I forgot that. The end, American Beauty ends with the bigoted guy across the street, that redneck actor who's amazing, kissing Kevin Spacey on the lips. And I'm like, that's Hollywood liberal, I think that's Mendes. You're right. God, I didn't realize that. I forgot about American Beauty. You're right. It's the same sort of thing where that's sort of this guy winking at the Hollywood liberal people going, yeah, this guy, he's gay. And the point is, gay people are like, everybody could be gay. You're homophobic for not thinking that. And I'm like, no, that's the equivalent of my father walking across the street and kissing Rocco, my next door neighbor. Okay, who was a drywall guy. It's no, sometimes liberal Hollywood, a guy's really not gay, okay? But you're so right. Rod, I want you to watch this the way you can. And clearly you have a very keen eye for this with this point you're making about vinyl. I think with vinyl, you do. It's being made in that modern way where they know people are going to watch and rewatch this on demand. And I'm doing it just to give Scorsese and Jagger the benefit of the doubt. And you're saying stuff that opens my eyes. Yeah, you're right. That song, now that I think about it, they're goofing on it. Right? It's like, it's not just bad. They're goofing on it, which kind of makes it good. Is that your point?
Yeah, well, it's worth watching the Robert Goulet song.
Oh, the Goulet's amazing. Right. That's amazing.
Yeah. Christmas is
the day after Christmas, a song for the day.
Goof. It's a total goof.
He says the day after Christmas, it's a market that's not been tapped. So I'm sorry for that long analogy, but yeah.
There's heaviness too. Here's the thing that really impressed me the most, if I had to pick one thing about the fourth episode, the guy who plays Richie from The Sopranos comes in as Bobby Cannavale's dad, in this, and that's some heavy, heavy scenes. It's really, I thought that was a very intense way to show you where Richie comes from,
right?
By bringing out The Sopranos Richie.
He's so ashamed.
Yeah,
that's a great play with names too. But he's so ashamed of his dad in the very first, real scene in that boardroom in the first episode in Germany. He says, "My father died," and they make a big point of, and clearly Ray Romano, who's his close partner, he doesn't know that his father's still alive, and the dad's really still in a jazz band downtown. And first of all, the Scorsese connection with that actor, he's in Mean Streets. That guy.
Oh shit! I didn't look that up.
If you watch amazing. Mean Streets, he's obviously he's famous for The Sopranos, but in Mean Streets he actually plays a guy who's sort of a voice of reason. He plays Harvey Keitel's best friend who goes, "I know Johnny Boy owes you money, but let's just calm down. Let's try to have a drink and be." He's a little more heavy set, but he's great in it. He's great.
Yeah, he looks really different.
Yep.
So at first you're looking at him going, wait a minute, who's this guy?
Right.
You feel like you know him because you saw every episode of The Sopranos.
The dad stuff is great.
I didn't realize Mean Streets, yeah.
Yeah, the dad stuff is great. You're right. But they do something in this last one that is and it's something I relate to because I've made stupid decisions like this. When you're Italian, there's a very, very insecure thing about, I think a lot of Jews have this too, where you want to be a WASP, where there's a part of you that wants to be accepted in the blue blood, I don't know, Fire Island, Hamptons thing. You want to be invited to the yacht party. Frank Sinatra, supposedly, when he was out with the Kennedys on a yacht, they have the line, Ray Liotta says the line in the Rat Pack as Sinatra when he's out with the Kennedy guy on a sailboat. He goes, it's a long way from Hoboken. Sinatra, he was proud of that. And these guys, think about it, L.A. and the East Coast, New York, L.A. is a continent away. It's as far away geographically as you can get from the streets of Hoboken. And, Sinatra would have sandwiches, of course, flown in. I always thought that was funny that a guy's sitting in first class and he's sitting next to Sinatra's veal and pepper sandwich. Which is getting better treatment than him in first class. But, you want to be, you almost feel sort of like, black. You feel like a black person must feel. Of course you can't. You can never relate to that pain, but there's sort of that insecurity. And a lot of Jews have it too, I think. And I see it with a lot of Italians who want to be, from where I come from. And cultured from where I come from is we learned how to use chopsticks, that type of thing. But there's an aspect of that going on with the girl thing. We find out there's so much more to the story about that Italian chick who's the publicity guy.
Oh, yeah.
Ken Marino, the other guy. And we find out that she worked for him as a secretary and was so smart that she was running the company and a lot of great ideas. She left, and we find out why she left. There was an affair, and she makes him at the end say, "Why did you choose her?" And he gives all the bullshit reasons. And God, that hit me. That line knocked me over. I didn't expect this to come when he said, "Because she was more beautiful than you."
And she handled it.
Right.
She handled it.
And that's exactly what she wanted him to say. Like, now you're being honest. Because she is the one who you can take out with Hannibal and sort of lure him in. She could be, she's the... And you find out Olivia Wilde's character is a lot more shallow than you thought. She is about the money in a way. And she... in a smaller way, I've had girls think, they see my life when I start dating them and they go, I want to be the guy on stage and everything, the person on stage. I'm like, well, then do it. How am I stopping you? And they don't want the life. One chick actually said this when I was dating in California out loud. She said, if you think I'm going to have a kid and you're going to be out on the road on stage having fun and I'm home with a kid, you're sadly mistaken. I said, first of all, thank you for making sure I never fucking see you again, because you sound like the worst mother on the planet Earth. Like, it's such a chore and awful to fucking be raising your child. Second of all, she said having fun. I'm making money. They don't know it's work. They see me on stage. It looks like a party, but it's my work. I'm not having fun every time I go to fucking Appleton, Wisconsin at the Skyline Comedy. I'm the reason we're going to live good. And if you have a talent, I'm not going to suppress it. And that's what Olivia Wilde's character is. And the Italian chick, the other one, is like, yeah, I was everything to you. And the other women that aren't willing to do this. And, she's like, okay, now that you said that, I'm all right. That surprised me. I never heard that covered in the show before,
Well, because they're building her up as a really strong character.
Right.
And she's going to come in really as an equal, putting him in his place,
Yes.
The first person to put him in his place, because it's also obvious that he loves her.
Yeah, and he says, you look like me. He goes, you look like me. And
oh, yeah.
That's the Italian thing. That is like I want the green-eyed, blue-eyed, gorgeous woman who is the typical woman I should have on my arm. So when I go out, it's almost good for business. And the Italian chick's savvy enough to know that. Now, where you get a living hell is the Italian chick who's just mad about it, not savvy enough to know why, and she just wants to strangle you because you're with another one. I thought that was interesting, too. And the part you bring up about the dad, I mean, when you find out that he's not dead, and Richie goes out of his way to say he died, and he's got a specific lie. Okinawa died, and there's more than one way to be dead. He says that there was, the alcohol and everything. What do you think about Cannavale's, just his performance in general?
Well, again, it just really shifted for me. It's so different. It's like on some level, this came at us, and if you read about this, they wrote so much about this. They conceived a movie for the longest time, right? And how, we've both got 7 million projects that we've been talking about doing for the last 20. Everybody's got that. So for them, it was sitting there as this movie. And then it seems like only in the last part of its pre-life, before it finally got funded, they said, no, television series,
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a part of me that says I would have wanted the world's greatest movie, but, it's like fans of the X-Files. Like, there's episodes you love, there's episodes you hate.
Right.
There's some X-Files fans feel like there's two different series going on.
Yeah.
And
that's true of comedy, too. Yeah, of course. Okay.
Yeah. So for me, like, you forced me back in.
I don't want to do that, Rob. I mean, you do what you want to do. See, the thing is, Rob, you might be right, because I tend to get lost in stuff and I reassess stuff at the end, but I am obsessed with it now. I like, I'm buying into the storyline. I want to see what happens. I'm invested in this guy. Again, the Jagger Scorsese thing is intriguing to me, but you sound right. You're probably right. But I think there's enough good to where I want to go back, and I'm dying to see. And I'm usually not into the guy-girl relationship shit. Like with The Sopranos, I was more into what's going on with the family and the crime. But I'm way into seeing how it plays out, because I can relate to it with the girl he's trying to get back. And what happens with that, because Olivia Wilde clearly, it's so great too. First of all, you know who Andy Warhol is, right? Who's playing Andy Warhol? It took me 2 episodes to figure it out.
I didn't think about it. Tell me. I didn't think about
really
it.
You really think. Really think back. I'll give you. I won't make you wait a long time. Just think a little bit longer about it. Dan, you don't know either? Who's playing Andy Warhol?
No, I don't know.
Now, I could be wrong, but I'm almost positive I'm right. And I really had to think about it. You know who I'm talking. You know Andy Warhol's in it, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah. Turn over all the cards.
Right.
Dana Carvey.
Who?
Dana Carvey.
You're kidding me. That's him?
I think that's Dana Carvey playing Andy Warhol.
Really?
Yeah, that's a total guess. I think it's Dana Carvey.
I'm going to the Google.
I started going, who does he remind me of? He sounded like he's almost
that
doing
would blow me away.
He's almost doing church lady. It's like in some of that. Like,
wow.
Go to the Google. Go to the Google.
Second, going to the Google. I thought, okay, the first thing I see is someone said, I thought it was Dana Carvey. It reminds me of Dana Carvey.
People are saying that?
Yeah, people are saying that, but I can't.
So I'm not dumb. I'm not retarded.
Come on, Dan. You're the one who's supposed to be able to do this. I don't know.
You know what?
It's your job to do it, Dan.
Well,
God damn it.
Wait, last episode I'm not supposed to look up on
You're
Google.
making a fucking guest do it. Do it, for Christ's sake.
All right.
You want Rob to make me a coffee?
Hold on.
I don't know how to Google.
Character comes across like an SNL skit featuring Dana Carvey, but I can't find out who it is.
Oh, so that's a guy. That's a guy reviewing it. Sort of make.
Yeah,
he thinks it's bad. He thinks it's bad. Okay, interesting.
It's weird. It's weird that it's not on IMDb, which is where you'd think it would be.
Yes, and that's why I looked at the end of the episode to see who it was to make sure it wasn't.
It's uncredited.
Yeah,
right?
that make sure it wasn't uncredited.
And if it's is it uncredited?
Wow, I don't see.
Okay, guys, listen. Okay, this is great.
We've lost the entire audience now.
No, yeah. First of all, you got to have an audience to lose one. Second of all, this is fascinating to me. Listen, first of all, the fact that guy thinks it's a critique and it's not good because of that is one thing. But Andy Warhol supposedly was an over-the-top guy. And also, isn't it weird that you two guys are insanely savvy? And I thought that, and all these other people thought it, but that never crossed your mind. You don't see how that looks like Dana Carvey?
I do now. Yeah.
No, now it does.
Yeah.
And
sounds like
the interwebs agreeing with you, but what's so interesting is that it's not credited.
Then wouldn't you think it's Dana Carvey if it's not credited?
Yes, but except for at the end of episode 1, because it was so odd, there was something odd about his character, I went and looked.
Okay, so what, Dan? What'd you say? What'd you find?
I don't remember the guy's name.
So what are you arguing against? It could be Dana Carvey. You said that sounded like an aha moment. Like, wait a minute, because
it's not. It's
not Dana Carvey.
Right.
How do you know that?
Because I went and looked at the name.
And what is the name? So you saw a name?
Yes.
Okay, was that clear to you, Rob, that Dan saw a name?
No.
No, it wasn't clear. No. God, the way he tells stuff. And but here's the thing. Hey, so you saw a credited name?
Yes.
So Rob, you're saying it. Where do you see it's uncredited?
Well, so I'm on IMDb where they have 8 zillion credits for vinyl, and I'm looking at all the characters. And I can't find a credit.
All right, Dan. So you're sure you looked at the Andy Warhol? It said Andy Warhol played
While you guys are talking, I can go on the TV. It's on the TV now.
No, then we will lose the audience.
I'm not saying stop the podcast. You guys talk.
Well, you know what? We'll do a little tease. We'll figure this out. Sometime, we'll pretend like it's 1978, and we can't find out immediately.
We need your time machine.
And I'll get some weed while I'm there. What do you want? What do you need?
Yeah.
Well, so again, the fact that this is a mystery, Dan, are you sure? This is one of those things where Dan goes, "I'm sorry, no, actually, I was looking at Olivia Wilde." Well, so you were intrigued by it.
Yes, that I thought it might.
But Dana Carvey never came to your mind. You were intrigued by who it is.
Yes,
who's playing him.
But it didn't seem. It seemed like I had seen this person before.
Yeah, okay.
That's why I went.
So you're making my argument so far.
Yes, I wasn't arguing with you.
So and you don't remember the name of the person? It was that obscure? It was unknown.
Yes.
Okay. So why keep? But that's so odd. Why then? Rob would totally be able to find that on IMDb, right, Rob?
You guys talk. I'll go look on the TV. It'll be
okay. Dan, how long is this going to fucking take? I'm sorry, Rob. Rob, this has nothing to do with you. I'm sorry.
I'm so into it.
Actually, you might not be. You know what's funny? You seem like you're clearly smarter than me. You're probably right. It's not that good, the show. You're watching, well, Rob. You're watching it from a different perspective. You live this way more than anybody. So, is that what you think it is?
You know what a couple of people have said. A couple of people have said that all of you idiots who worked in the industry don't like it because you're way too close to it. And you're way overthinking it, and it's great, and it's fiction, and shut the hell up. Okay. I've heard a couple of people say that.
Well, again, that's the thing about Twitter, Rob. You'll find every opinion. Most of them are retarded. The 5,000, 5 might be worse. Some of those 5, they're going to be different. It's crazy. The hokey, the one thing you nailed on the head, though, dude, which I'm upset I didn't get, is. The mob shit in the first one is ridiculous. It's almost like a TV movie, Yeah,
it just didn't feel needed. But you had the answer to it though, which is they've got to set it up. They've got to have the cop story. They've got to have I just felt like there's so much.
It could have been done better.
That's never been told. Tell more of that.
But you're saying they blame the mob. They blame the mob for something other people did, radio people did, or other people did. Who did you think actually were guilty of what they blamed the mob for? You said a group of people.
Well, consultants.
Consultants, exactly. You said consultants
for sucking the life out of rock radio.
Okay, Dan's got the credits. Wait, this is interesting. Dan's got. So we're looking
here.
For,
it is, Dan.
We're looking for Andy Warhol. Andy Warhol. I can't wait to see the actor's name, too, because he's probably getting a bunch of... Tracy relative birthday.
Bowie played him in... Bowie
played him in the Basquiat movie. Jean-Michel Basquiat, yeah.
Was he in the first episode or the second?
First episode.
It's not in the first episode. I already checked.
Wait a minute. But Andy Warhol's in the first episode, right?
No.
Oh, he's not? Second episode. Okay.
So
Dan was wrong about the episode. I guarantee he's wrong about something else.
Yep, I got it. Hold on, it's coming at you.
What is it?
It's coming at you. Hold on. It's going to be... I'm in the right episode, at least.
Danny's at the right
episode. You're going to edit this, right?
No, this is great. Again, it's a podcast. The people could just go back to doing what they're doing on Tuesday afternoon at 3 o'clock when they listen, which is nothing. They could go back to cleaning their bong.
Ready? It's good. It's good.
That's Dana Carvey. What is it?
I got it.
You got the credit?
I actually met him a couple of weeks ago. It's John Cameron Mitchell.
Okay.
Hedwig.
What's his name?
John Cameron Mitchell.
John Cameron Mitchell. And what's he known for? What's he known for?
Yeah. Hedwig.
Oh, he's Hedwig. Okay, on Broadway. All right. You got it. Danny's always right. I'll admit that, though. Danny always gets. He's like a broad. You're always right. John,
that makes a lot of sense.
Hedwig the Angry Inch? What are you talking about? Who's Hedwig on Broadway?
Hedwig and the Angry Inch.
And the Angry Inch.
He's the creator, actor, writer, director.
He created it. You know that play, Dan?
Yes, isn't it like a gay movie or something?
You know what the Angry Inch is?
No, I
it's
didn't
his
see
cock.
It. Oh, is it?
No, a lot of the best actors have been playing it on Broadway, but he created it.
It's a famous thing.
Yeah, it's a great project, and he's like a rightful heir to the art vibe of Warhol in the modern day.
Well, he's a great
really casting.
That's actually a great bit of casting based on that too. You're right. God, you're able to make that connection. But God, he comes off like Dana Carvey. And the other thing is, I love when Dan pretends not to know something about the gay culture. It's so great. It's so great to keep the secret. Is that a gay thing or something? Is that a gay thing?
It's Nancy Reagan as Warhol. And a lot of people didn't know that she did these really avant-garde roles right before she died, but she did.
I'll tell you, what's great? Everybody did if somebody told like Frank Sinatra in 1958 or whoever, like Charles Lawton, some great actor, that we would be celebrating the death of those two of the shittiest actors of all time. Charles Lawton, 1958. Listen, Charles, you're making fun of these. In 2016, they're going to bury Nancy Reagan right next to Ronald Reagan, and it's going to be the news story for 2 straight days. The guy from Bedtime for Bonzo and the chick who was an extra in it.
Yeah, they're going to get more coverage than you.
Not even close. Okay, well, God, you see, it's so funny that these people on Twitter, and no one's free of it. That's why when I see an insult on Twitter, sometimes Dan sees something about them, pocket. Dan takes it so seriously. I feel so sorry for Dan. Dan goes, a guy on Twitter said, why didn't we do a show today? I go, Dan, you have to stop talking. I go, who on Twitter? I look at it. It's, Ed's Parakeet. And it goes, when 38 followers. I love my parakeet.
By the way, your Ed Torian's coming back. I just heard it a little bit.
You understand?
There it is.
The first night that we started My Damn Channel.
Yeah.
We were all sitting around and everybody's looking, waiting for the first comment. And, somebody goes, well, if they write something it's really, really horrible, we just delete it, right? And then the smartest person in the room said, you can't do that, ever. That's like the worst thing you could ever do.
Exactly.
And the people who didn't get it just stood there and said, well, what do you mean? They're going to say like the most evilest, darkest, mean? Yes.
Well, no, I know. And the other great thing with Twitter is a pause. Like I always bring this back to Dave Attell. Here's why Dave Attell is a great, great comedian on another level. He roasted when Howard roasted me. You know, it was that night. It was a big deal. People in Philly had signs up. We have Artie's roast here. If you don't have serious, $10 a piece. And we did it at night. We did a Thursday show in the morning, and a show that night was my roast, and we aired it that morning, so we had the next day off, so everybody could get drunk. I was still partaking. This was 2006, and the lineup was Greg Giraldo, still alive, God bless him, Levy hosting, DePaulo, Colin Quinn, Lisa Lampanelli, and Attell. It was, Sal, of course, Richard.
The All-Star game.
Yeah, it was an All-Star game up against me. And it was so much fun. But here's Dave Attell. Here's the difference between a good and a bad comic. And here's what Twitter is great with. You got to hear the whole joke before you get excited. Attell goes, Artie is going to star in the Anna Nicole Smith story. She just died. Now, that got cheers like it's a fat joke. Now, a hack comic leaves it at that, where you assume I'm playing Anna Nicole Smith. But then after the applause, Attell goes, he's playing the island she died on. The funniest guy in the office at the water cooler says he's Anna Nicole Smith. Dave Attell says he's playing the island she died on. And on Twitter, you have to listen for the pause. I'm a victim of that. Like a lot of times, you don't wait. So, like, in other words, people wanted, what are names of great porno movies? They wanted interracial porno movies. And I just put down Rosa Parks, I tweeted. And people were like, what does that mean? The next tweet was, her pussy on your face. And she's sitting on the front of my face, and the guy wants her on the back. It's a long story.
There goes your Supreme Court.
You see, by the way, Rob very, very savvy. He didn't make a sound during that, so he could say that wasn't me. Which is why I'll die broke in my kitchen. And I turned out $25 million.
By the way, have you guys been following Pat and Oswald live tweeting the debates?
No.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome.
Well, Pat was a guy I worked with for 2 years on Mad TV. I wrote a bunch of sketches with Pat, and we were very good friends. And of course, now he's Ratatouille. Anyway, So you always got to listen to the whole thing. Is the point?
Yes.
especially this day and age. And of course, like I say, Rob will not laugh at the Rosa Parks joke. I will, and I'll be broke in my kitchen. And Tim offered me $25 million. Rob, listen, man, I love you. Listen, I hate the fact that I'm making you waste time. You're a busy guy. Do not watch Vinyl. We don't have to. We'll talk about anything you want. We'll talk about next
time with Hoboken Pizza.
Listen, the next time Rob comes in, again, as you can see, we could talk about a million things in the news. His take on CBS Radio was great. Danny, good job bringing that up. It was topical. Next time, Rob's going to be in studio in Hoboken. My apartment. In Hoboken, and we're going to get some great Hoboken food. And Danny, what are you going to want to say something?
And there's a Springsteen arc coming up. That's what I read.
A what?
A Springsteen arc.
Okay, there's an arc, meaning a few episodes?
Just
like Sly and the Family Stone was covered. I guess they're going to do something based on Bruce, or it is Bruce?
It's based on, no, it's supposed to be Bruce.
Did you hear that, Rob? Is that true?
No, that's news to me.
That'll be fun.
See, now I'm stuck.
How much will you hate that?
I knew that.
How much will you hate that, though, Rob? You're going to have, me too, I'm going to have a million problems with that.
Now I'm stuck.
See, it's based in '73, the first album.
Did you see the picture they tweeted out of him and Sylvester Stallone yesterday?
No. Dan, find that. That's great.
I think he just went to see the show like 2 nights ago or something.
That's great, man.
Anyway, thanks for asking me back.
No, anytime. And when men were still men, someone asked me. I tweeted out that the Belushi 0.0 scene was on. I tweeted out, I'm watching this right now. How great it is. Some guy said to me, Art, if you saw Belushi in the afterlife, and he asked what 2016 was like, what would you say? I go easy. I go 2016, John. It's so much fun. Every guy acts like a woman, and Bruce Jenner actually is one. That basically sums up. Oh wait, the big thing. I'll end with this. Jagger's kid. Give me your thoughts on him in the show.
Oh well, I did like this angle where they took the Lester Grimes character and turned him into the manager with the biggest grudge in the world. That was interesting.
That is. You're right. That guy's a great actor too, by the way. The guy playing Lester Grimes.
I liked that, and then I liked the scene where Bobby was laying into him as the head of the label. I thought it was pretty good,
Yeah.
And then, so he picked it up for me too.
But as an actor, Jagger's kid, what do you think? Is he pulling it off, or?
I'm buying it. I'm buying that role.
Right.
I'm buying that role in the studio where he forces the argument with the guitar player.
Yeah. That was good.
I mean that's we've been there, right? You've seen those.
Yeah. But in the boardroom where he's trying to play a blue collar, poor, almost Cockney dialect Englishman, and he's kind of pulling it off. But you realize the direct opposite life is what he has. I mean, royalty. Anyway, a billion things to talk about. Rob, you can talk about anything, man, and you got such a great sense of humor. I love you. And, next time you pick a day, we're around. Please come in. We'll have some food and talk live more.
Thanks so much.
And you don't have to keep watching Vinyl. I'll tell you about it. Okay, Rob. Be well, my friend.
Bye-bye.
The great Rob Barnett again. Yeah, he does. I watch stuff. Danny will tell you this. I watch stuff real inside. I get so into something. I mean, Adrian, Dana, everybody who ever lived with me knows I get into like a documentary. I'll watch it every day for 2 straight months, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah. Well, listen, beach working for a living. Thanks, Rob Barnett. Thanks to the great Vinny Brander. Also, real quick plug. I just okayed this with Vinny. We are going to start, Montreal, we did a live podcast in front of a live audience, and we'll toot our own horn a little bit because we never do. We need the subs. Maybe this will help. Montreal said it was the best podcast they had up there, and they had about 50 of them or more. It did kill. And the great, J.B. Smooth was there and helped me out. And, of course, Howie Mandel, such a friend, such a talented, funny motherfucker. He came on. He was great. Gilbert, great. Our old friend Chris Cotton was still around, and Gino, and they were all amazing. And, of course, the great Joe DeRosa was on, and Danny did a great job putting it all together, and we had a great show. And we did one for the Hoboken Comedy Festival, just as fun. So we're going to try this out more locally. We're a little more controlled, and we could do it the way we want to. April 15th is a Friday afternoon at 3 o'clock, from 3 to 4:30. Could be a little longer, at least 3 to 4:30, an hour and a half. We're doing a live podcast from the Stress Factory Comedy Club in New Brunswick, New Jersey, a club I've been playing doing stand-up for almost 20 years. And you can buy tickets. They're going to be cheap. $20, $25 range. We're going to figure it out. It's an afternoon. Nothing's going to break your bank. You have a couple of beers and you're done. And for that, the audience will be involved probably. It's set up perfectly for a comedy club. I love the setup of the Stress Factory. And you'll be right there almost on stage with us. And we're going to get a couple of guests that are going to be fun. And we're doing a live podcast. And if it goes well, we're going to keep doing it. And why are you smiling? Well, you're grinning like a.
I'm excited about it.
A cat or something.
No, I'm excited about it.
Like you got a mouthful of Lindsey Graham's cum.
Oh, why Lindsey Graham?
I don't know. Who do you want? Ryan Sandberg. So, no, I mean, you look like you knew something I didn't.
No.
Okay, fine. What are we doing? Now we're making a living at this. The podcast has gotten fun. Again, you're smiling. What's the matter?
Okay.
He has a puss on his face when I'm saying something funny. I'm plugging something. Now he's giggling. I mean, are you working against me?
No. You're so excited about the live show. I'm excited for you.
Are you mocking me?
No. Why do you say that all the
making fun of like I'm promoting the show. Why are you so excited, Art? Well, yeah, I guess so. Trying to keep your rent going. Oh, fuck. Yeah, I'm excited. He's mocking me for promote it then.
I'm not mocking you. What are you talking about? I said you
don't get mad now. Stop it. I'm goofing around, Dan. Oh, my God, fucking headache I have. Jesus Christ. I'm not good. I'm fucking around. You're very excited. No, you run it back. You sound like you're goofing on me. Oh, you're excited. I'm excited.
No, I'm not goofing.
I'm excited. Yeah. Well, maybe I shouldn't be excited. I'm starting to think you don't like vinyl either. I like vinyl.
I'm waiting for this. Oh, and Olivia Munn is so
Olivia Wilde.
Get your Olivia Wilde.
Calm down with the fake. Like you like girls.
Yeah. That red dress is smoking.
Kind of volley is fucking hot. I mean, that red pants dress she's wearing is smoking. He's overcompensating again. Man, I want to fuck her because she has a pussy and not a dick. Man, I like pussy. I don't like dick. I like vaginas.
Yeah, of the two of us, who knew Edgewig or whoever the fuck that is?
Again, because I'm secure enough to go. Yeah. I know it. Yeah, I know it. I've seen a guy suck a dick before on 48th Street. Oh. I'm secure enough. I know I'm not a fag.
I've never seen that.
I don't have to scream it out with a fucking megaphone. Nothing wrong with it. I just being one or not being one. I just know I'm not one. I was anti that chick in Kentucky. I want to go down as that. I'm not the guy who Hedwig, the fucking gay guy. Okay, pal? I don't go to fucking look at priests instead of strip clubs. Yeah. Whatever. We're fucking around. But I am excited. Stress Factor. April 15th, tax day, as Dan pointed out. We are going to be at the Stress... 3 p.m. to 4:30. Now you threw me off. You can buy tickets, more information. We'll go to StressFactory.com because Vinny's going to start getting the tickets up soon. I think it's $25 a pop and a couple of beers. And that's it. And it'll be a fun time. And if it's not a fun time, we won't do it anymore. If you don't show up, we won't do it anymore. I get it. If you don't show up. What do you think? I'm delusional? If you say to me, oh, look, I kind of like you, but I got a job. I'm busy doing anything else.
It's Friday afternoon.
It is.
People get out of work early.
Exactly, Dan. It's starting to get warm in April. People are out. They're out. They're out getting pussy, not dick.
And, being around Rutgers University with some hot ladies doesn't hurt.
Hot ladies, not guys. There's no guys I'm looking at. When I go to Rutgers, I don't look at guys. You do, maybe. I go, you Hedwig? Yeah, I don't know. Because I don't know it. I don't know what Hedwig is. I like girls. I fucking like dick. I mean pussy. I like pussy. Definitely not dick. I was joking when I said dick. Pussy, pally. When I go on my group to the church to be communal, I like dick. I mean pussy. When I'm pussy. When I look at a priest and I don't go to a strip club because you're going to a strip club, I don't get strip clubs. I don't understand why a guy would like a strip club, a smoking hot chick undressing. I don't know why. I think about their lives.
Mixing two stories. Two completely different.
Why don't you like strip clubs? You think about the girls' lives?
How sad it is.
What's so sad? That's why I don't like it. That's why I go out and look at guys instead. Because I know their lives are fine. And I'd like to make them finer. I mean the chick. You know, the chick, not the dude. First of all, I love cock pussy. Not cock. I was going to say cock as a joke, because I joke around. But I love fucking vaginas. I love fucking triangle vaginas. Are they triangle? Yeah. Friday, April 15th. That's what we're doing. And I think we're going to have fun. So check that out. I was going to say something else, too. What were you talking about? You mentioned something else. You just said something I wanted to plug.
We have to plug Vinny's podcast.
Oh, okay, plug Vinny's podcast. Go ahead, do it.
Vinny Brand's podcast is the Proving Ground Podcast. Vinny Brand, Brand, the Proving Ground Podcast.
Man, you are not good on the air. I'm busted. Look at how sad he is. We love you. Proving Ground Podcast.
The Proving Ground.
When's it on?
He does it I think he does one a week.
Okay, that's great. And there's a great comic, Greg Robinson, an enormous fat black guy who's really funny.
Chicago guy.
Is he?
Yep.
Oh, okay. Hey, look, Chicago, I bust in. Chicago is one of the greatest cities on the planet fucking Earth, especially in the summer. Oh, and the fucking cock pussy there. Oh, the pussy.
Let's do one at the Park West. Let's do a podcast at the Park West.
Okay, well, let's fucking do it. That's not me. That's you. I'll say this about that. Danny couldn't come with us one time. He came with me to Park West when I played there in Chicago. But there was one time I did stand-up in Chicago. Dad couldn't come. And he gave, Timmy and us we were staying, I got to give Trump a hand. Last few times I stayed at that Trump International Hotel in Chicago. It is the best hotel in the world. So I've stayed in a lot of great hotels, man. That is a great hotel. Right on the Chicago River. Looking out to the lake and Lake Michigan, and Dan. So Dan said, if you go here, I know the guy here, and a lot of times when people say that they don't, Dan is hooked up in Chicago, man. Everybody knows him, and of course they love him. Dan Filato, yeah, come on. It's and even Timmy and Dan hate each other's guts, and even Timmy gave him props, and he had to. Another time though, and I gave you props on DirecTV. I never did this on the podcast, and I will now. Dan did come another time when I did the Park West. And he saw I was sad because I was in full-blown opiate withdrawal, which is true. But at the Park West, the guy showed up. I was fine. I sold out the Park West, dude. Game 6 of the fucking Blackhawks.
Blackhawks Stanley Cup.
Okay? Stanley Cup, 2 blocks away. I sell out the Park West. Hey, boy. Wow. Fred Norris, I said that. Used to play a sound effect on Stern. It made me laugh every time. I still don't know what it is. I got to ask Fred. I'll probably never see him again. But that's a try. I probably never see Fred again. Or Robin. I guess I'm not. Those guys aren't allowed to talk to me.
Oh, that's sad.
I get texts from some of them. They go, just erase this text. Like they're being serious. They're not allowed to talk to me. That red-haired broad Marcy, I think, said, don't talk to Artie. I don't want to. I love Howard. They're not allowed. I mean, a lot of those guys are great. I love Howard. I don't know. I did something. What did I do? I mean, I was a heroin addict. I showed up late and I put him through hell. I don't know. Everyone else I know is my friend still. They overlook stuff. They know I'm a fuck up. I'm saying this because I miss him. I love Howard to death and I miss him. But it's my problem. But it's odd. I don't think I'm allowed. And it might not be from Howard. I think maybe it's from the red-haired broad. I don't know. Who I guess doesn't exist, but I love. It's just odd. It really makes me. I'm as in the dark as the fans. They're not allowed to talk to me. I'll probably never see Fred or Robin again.
Wow.
I don't want you ever to see Artie while my father's alive. I don't know. It makes me sad. I worked 2 feet from Fred. And I loved Robin. I threw Robin that party for no other reason than I love her because she deserved it. I'm not saying anything. Robin is so generous. Party after party. So I'm going to throw Robin a party. Everybody came, except Howard. Not only the man got us everything. A generous guy, but I don't blame him for not coming either. I don't want to go. No, but, there was more to that. Cost me $60,000. No, I spent $40,000 on that, and I lost $20,000 on the Yankees, I think. I used to bet pitchers. Let's just put it this way. Fucking Jabba Chamberlain was what we thought he was. Not worth $20,000 with the VIG. Yeah, because I love her. She was really nice to me. And Fred knows I love him. I consider him a friend, and he's a genius. Fred is a fucking comedic genius. He might be the funniest guy. I had Howard to my right, Fred to my left, Benji there, who's a peer of mine, who's hilarious. And we get to work in between 2 of the funniest guys ever. Ever. The biggest radio legend ever on our right, and one of the biggest on the left, and so funny. I learned from Howard and Fred. I learned how to be funnier. Benji too, I think. And I love Benji so much. Good buddy. I hope I see Sal and Richard again, who I think are funny. I hope I see Shuli. I don't know. I don't know. It's just weird, guys. I'm being honest with you. I love them to death. I'm not trying to insult the show. I'm not. Gary, too, was a guy to me, a real good guy to me. Gary helped me get that job, and we ended up enemies somehow. I don't know. Made fun of the opening pitch that he threw. Come on, man. Come on. You played me dying on the air on a voicemail for 60 straight times. Maybe the 60th time, you go, you know what, I'm not going to play this the 60th time. I'm your buddy. You need anything over there? Can I send you cough medicine? You sound like you're dying. Can I send you some tissues? You threw out Gar, I love you. What do you got? It's a Stern show. You were on fucking national television. You threw out the first pitch. You looked like one of the Olsen twins. I had a goof on it. You do the same thing. You threw it to the home plate. You hit an umpire standing 80 feet away. I took Afghanistan. Gary came to Afghanistan. I wanted nobody with kids. That's why I chose the comics I did. Nobody with kids. Gary insisted on coming. He really wanted to come. It was important to him. So I let him come.
You came to the Bob Kraft thing?
And the Kraft thing. The Kraft thing. I was going to I did stand up for half an hour. A private jet. Gary crowbar's way into that. I got 20 G's. I don't know what Gary got, but if it's 20 G's, I don't want to see Gary again. But, but I did like Larry's a guy, helped me get the job. I see John again, of course, because John's not allowed to see them either. I love them. I'm not bashing the show. I'm not trying to say, everybody knows about the red-haired chick. The cat's out of the bag. I don't know what her deal is. Fred knows that I not only do I love him and his wife, and I'm so glad that the kid, but he knows that I think Fred is the smartest, funniest motherfucker ever. And Robin is one of the most talented broadcasters with an amazing sense of humor, such a unique, wonderful person, so generous to me, good to my sister, the girls I dated, anybody she met. So sweet. Because they were struck seeing these people. Robin, Fred, they're celebrities. And like I was when I met them. And Beth and Howard, so generous, so nice to me, tried to help me, and they did. But now, I know I was an asshole with the heroin. I'm sorry, and I don't blame you because they do tell you lose people. But now, it's just fucking weird. I saw Gilbert yesterday. We did the Jim Gaffigan show, which was a lot of fun. I played myself on Gaffigan again. Jim's a great guy. I'll talk more about that when it airs. But we were at the Queens County Jail all day, which is why I didn't do the podcast. I was working on something else. I'm sorry. Steve Torelli always has my back. But as does Mix and Plix and everybody else. But and everybody else, the harmonica. But I saw Gilbert. Gilbert did the Jack Gaffigan show. We played prisoners. Me and Gilbert are together eating in a prison cafeteria. It seemed funny with Carrot Top, by the way. I tweeted a picture of me, Carrot Top, Gilbert, and Gaffigan. Carrot Top is in it, who's a great guy, by the way, and might do the show. Gilbert says, yeah, it's like they don't, he pretends I never existed. Gary told Gilbert he hasn't been on for 5 years. The guy voted the best guest in the history of the show by the fans, Gilbert Gottfried. Gary said to him with a straight face, we don't have comedians on anymore. The same day Chelsea Handler was on. Which, by the way, makes sense because to comedians, she's not a comedian. She's someone who talks about blowing guys to get jobs. She's like the third funniest secretary at a Chipotle office. Chipotle sales office. Could have come up with a better name there. Anyway, I'm venting at the end. It's just weird. I don't know what I did. I will play that Fred. I'm saying Fred. I love Robin. I will probably never see Fred and Robin again. It's like Sharia law they're under.
Except for when it comes to replaying your best bits, because that's what they do.
All right, well, that's not. That's right. You talking. That's not me. The fans talking about, but thanks, Dan. I appreciate it, but I'm not going to go there. Whatever. They do what they do. Believe me, I'm not mad about that. I'm proud of that. You know how proud I am that people know me from that show? Some people think, oh, you're only known for Howard. Of course, look, I've done a million things in my career. I have. And by the time I got to the Stern Show, I was a C-list comic, which was better than I thought I'd ever do. Actor, writer, and a millionaire from show business. So I had established myself. I wasn't an intern or whatever. But getting on that show is everything to me. I don't care if it's the only thing you ever know me by, because it's the best. It's the Beatles of radio and everything, and it was television too. A decade of that show, I'm fine. I'm only doing this because I got to keep paying my mother's rent. I'm kidding. My mother pays a lot by herself. Dan's over there keeping quiet, not helping me at all.
I'm not saying a word about your mother.
What are you scared of? What's the matter with you? My mother, maybe. But yes. And then he opens his mouth, says the wrong thing, says something dumb. Wait to place your bits. All right, I'm going to need your help. Maybe you shouldn't talk. But I'm proud of that. Play them all day. I love it. I was on Stern, and I guess some people thought it was funny. They were moved by it. I don't know if people thought it was funny to pay a quarter a day to where I could keep buying, Hostess cupcakes. Anyway, I don't know what got me into that. Sometimes I really think about it, guys. I obsess about it. I admit it. because I love Howard, and I love being a part of that show. And there's people I love there, like Fred and Robin, who I might never see again. That's just so funny to say that out loud, but it's true.
It's sad.
And Gilbert Godfrey, well, it's over being sad. There's a lot. The people in Syria, those refugees, they have a sad life. This is fine. Everything's all right. I miss it, but people miss shit in life. You'll never see Steve Dahl again, probably.
You're right.
I know, but he deserves not seeing you. It's a privilege to see you.
Oh, thanks.
All right, whatever. I'm truthful about that. But anyway, it's just odd, guys. That's all. It's a weird thing. So that's me. And Gilbert, again, Gilbert, it's so funny. Gilbert never shows human emotion. He's like, yeah. I just want to plug Caroline. Why is it, guys? On paper, I think that what are they afraid of? Jennifer Aniston's husband, Justin Theroux, who they're friends with, might hear Gilbert say something wrong, or me say something offensive. That, listen, Howard, as you know, we're big into the environment. And, we give a lot to the EPA. Jen and I, it's a pet cause of ours. Wait, I want to get the bong. Jen's passing me the bong with the weed. We're very big into the environment. Wait, Jen's putting hairspray on. And driving her enormous SUV. No, we heard Gilbert and Artie goofing on the EPA, and one of them referred to African Americans as colored during a joke. I don't know. I hope you don't really think that's funny. And we'd like, is that it? That sounds like an exaggeration, but guess what? Ellen DeGeneres calls, or her assistant. Listen, you said you like my dancing, and we think you like my dancing. And, Gilbert and Artie were on, and they said they didn't like my dancing, and you didn't really defend it. I mean, do you like my dancing or not? Can we get to the point? Because I like my friends to like my dancing at the beginning of the show. I'm joking around, guys, but that might not be that far off. The red-haired chick might have sat, I have no proof of this, might have sat him down and said, listen, I'm the red-haired chick. Marcy, whatever her name is. And, listen, Artie and Gilbert, people like that, just don't fit in. Would you want Artie and Gilbert at Jennifer Aniston's wedding next to you? No, you wouldn't. It'd be embarrassing. Artie probably would drop some mayonnaise on. Gilbert would laugh about something and say something about Asian people. And I happen to know Jen's assistant is Asian. Would he make a terrible tsunami joke on Twitter next to the Asian assistant? Do you want to be a part of that? You don't, do you? None of us do. Of course, I'm kidding. I'm doing the kind of humor they used to do on the show. But I might not be that far off. That's what's crazy about it. And Howard Stern is the single greatest performer in the history of radio. And still is. Even like this, he's so savvy. He knows the way the wind's blowing. So he's become his way, and America's Got Talent, and he's a billionaire. He's so smart. I never met a guy whose brain operated at a more impressive level than Howard. And I don't know. If the red-haired broad's calling the shots, that's sad. Why? Or maybe she isn't. I'm getting into sensitive shit. I want him to be happy, and clearly he is. And he doesn't want me to be happy, and I'm not, so everybody's fine. Everybody has what they want. But I'll always love them. And Robin and Fred. And, I went to go see Robin in the hospital because she would have done it for me. I woke up out of that daze after I stabbed myself. I looked to my right. I was unconscious for 3 days. Went in surgery. Jersey City Hospital. I look over. Who do I see? I see Robin Quivers holding my hand, crying with Tim Sabian and my mom and sister. I could almost cry about it. Robin came there to say, you're going to be okay. And I went to see her. And it was great to see her. And I saw Howard there, and it was so great to see him. I could cry about him. Two people that mean so much to me. And for an hour, we laughed. And it was totally by mistake. He didn't know I was going to be there. I didn't know he'd be there, and that's the truth. And I was so happy about it. But without that surprise, I think Howard totally planned on never seeing me again. And now after that, maybe not. Robin either. Last couple of calls were not answered. And I'm not going to bug them. But you, the fans, who pay $0.25 a day, every once in a while I might vent like this, and you deserve to hear it. And listen, nobody hears this show. I mean, people hear it, and I love you. There's enough people. We make a good living here, and I'm very happy. So people do listen. But I'm saying the show doesn't make an impact enough so to where it's going to affect Howard's life at all, what I'm saying here. No one's going to reprint it or say it, print it anywhere where it's going to affect his life. This is for you guys, the fans. You ask questions. I'm in the dark like you. I don't know. But it's as if people like Gilbert and I, not only does he not have us on, it's as if we never existed, except in the replays, because you have to. We're on too many of those. Decade of the show gone. With Gilbert, 20 years almost. And this ain't a bashing session. Doesn't come from a place of hate, because Howard did everything for me, man. I wouldn't have you wouldn't be listening to me right now if it wasn't for Howard. Even though I had the career before, that means nothing. Howard bought the microphone I'm talking into right now. He bought Danny. Who I love. All right, so I'm sorry for venting, but you deserve some honesty, and I love Howard and I miss him. I hope I see Fred and Robin and everybody again. Sal, Richard, Benji, Scott the engineer I miss to death. I hope I see you all again. Will, and just Will in the back, and Gary. All right, thanks to Rob Barnett. I love you.